And the nuclear threat between South Asian neighbors India and Pakistan has reached a 20-year high last week. Pakistan's capture and release of an Indian fighter pilot along its contested border last Wednesday escalated tensions between military forces. As both countries try to enlarge and upgrade their military capabilities, the ongoing threat of a nuclear standoff looms. And while the international community watches for now from the sidelines, Talking Points analyst Tyler Lowell is here to make sense of the history and tension between these nuclear superpowers. So, Tyler, thank you for joining us. Talk a little bit about Kashmir and what it means to these two countries.
Absolutely. So it's this tension, this conflict that's happening between them, it goes back over 70 years, right? And I think with all these international conflicts, it's really difficult, but if you were to distill it down to sort of its essence, it's primarily a conflict over land, and it's a conflict over ideology. So looking back to August of 1947, when India gave up control of the region, Pakistan and India split it. Pakistan then became, the sort of region became Muslim majority, the Indian side became Hindu majority. And as a result, you know, over those 70 years, there's been these ebbing and flowing kind of conflict as both sides try to overtake the entirety of the region.
So it's been 70 years. Why is the conflict boiling over again now?
I think obviously there's like a sort of chain of events, right? But this particular moment has been isolated back to February 14th, so a Valentine's Day bombing in the southern region of Kashmir, where a Pakistani sort of militant committed a suicide bombing that ended up killing 40 paramilitary Indian folks. And it was one of the largest, I think in 30 years, one of the largest attacks. And so as a result, that's gotten India spun up into a fervor. Their elections are right around the corner, and there's a lot of pressure now on their Prime Minister Modi to avenge these attacks, but who knows what that might look like.
Obviously, India and Pakistan, two nuclear-armed nations going at each other's throats, makes the international community very nervous. What can the international community do right now to kind of bring things down a little bit?
Well, personally, I think pay attention, right? We were talking a little earlier about how this issue, it's such a big thing, but it kind of isn't getting as much attention from the international community as it needs to. And I think a part of that has to do with it's being overshadowed by North Korea, right? These sort of denuclearization talks are happening. Meanwhile, they've got 300 nukes, pointed at one another. But you do have people like Secretary of State Mike Pompeo saying that they need to sort of take Pakistan, meaning they need to take meaningful action against terrorism on their soil, because that's part of India's sort of qualms, is that they're supporting and they're encouraging these militant, this fostering of militants.
Tyler, this is clearly an ongoing situation. Yes. What can we expect going forward?
It's hopefully people watching, right? And so, today the transportation between the two countries has reopened, so these sort of hot tensions of war have finally cooled. But these aren't isolated incidents, right? And they're happening kind of with a little bit more frequency. So I think what we can expect going forward is more attention on the issue. Hopefully.
All right, well, we know you'll be monitoring it for us. Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you.